Hello and welcome to the Playmakers. Yes, rugby stories. I'm Jeff Wilson. What we do every week is we get a player, a character in and around the game. We bring them in here to Sky and we have a chat about their career and maybe some interesting moments. Today, All Black, number 1075. Beaver Donald joins me. And Beaver, welcome to Sky. I've got my first question is it officially over, the career? Are they hung up or are they waiting for another call? Are they gathering dust? Are there Barbarians opportunities? For you as a rugby player, is it time up? Is it done? I remember when I did it myself.
Thanks for having me, Goldie. I'm 99% absolutely done.
Absolutely, and 99% are not the same thing. You realise that? Hold on. So if the phone rang and someone said, I'm in trouble, are you open? Look at you. You're in good nick, ready to go. If they said, look, I could play a couple of weeks for you, could you do that? Is club rugby a possibility still?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of things pop up from overseas and seriously looked at them, but it's just more a case of, do we want to go there? Or, and we turned a couple down. And, I mean, club rugby is always going to be there. I mean, I live in the town where I get constantly reminded that there's a club waiting for you on Tuesday and Thursday night. And that'll always be there, I'd say, for a year or two. So, yeah, I am done. But, I mean, if things popped up that were desirable to do, then, I've tried to stay in shape. So, yeah, we'll see.
So nothing's official, right? Because that's the thing. I must admit, I never said I'd never play again.
No, 100%.
But that was when I was like 30.
Yeah,
I mean, you're 37, aren't you?
That's just medical science and stuff, mate.
That's just a number? Is that just a number for you?
It's just a number.
Okay, because there's a number of things in your career I want to talk about. But the first thing, and I'm going to start about being an All Black, because we've gone through a lot this year in terms of Sky and in terms of COVID, and all of a sudden we've seen an appreciation for the game from the players maybe we haven't seen. And when you first make it versus when you're coming to the end of your career, sometimes it means it's different. You have a different perspective. For you, what did becoming an All Black mean now that you're 37? Have you reflected on that and gone, you know what, this is what having represented my country means to me?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it means a hell of a lot more now than ever. I mean, without a doubt, there's things I wish I'd done differently when I was in there and experienced and on an older head, I would have done things differently. But it means a whole lot more to me now. And at the time, and you'd know, Goldie, when you're in there, you're just in the most compressed bubble and intense environment that you're ever probably going to be in as far as a working life goes. Not that I have experienced too much of a working life, but it's just the intensity of it all. Sometimes, especially back then, I think the boys probably have a better balance now, but back then I don't think, certainly myself, didn't actually stop and smell the roses a little bit and just realise how good this is. And now you look back on and reflect, yeah, very proud, but yeah.
And that's the part of it, right? Because when you're playing and you're looking at it, you're going, I don't want to watch myself play too much, or I don't want to get too hung up on the fact I am an All Black. But I found that when I finished playing and I got further and further away from it. And then you start seeing the guys you played with and being around former All Blacks, you just get a different feeling about being part of that club. Is that something when you see guys who played in different generations, do you get that feeling as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I played a golf tournament the weekend with Christian Carnolo Brown, so childhood heroes, and you meet them and you talk to them and you're just talking to them like ordinary fellas, like you've known them your whole life. So it's pretty special, that side of it too, yeah.
But coming in line with that, though, with line with being an All Black, there's challenges along the way. And look, we faced our criticism, both you and I remember early in my career.
Yeah.
You find out very, very quickly how harsh the reality can be of being at that highest level. And how difficult is that as a player when you are facing criticism?
Yeah, I mean, I never looked into it too much at the time because, as I said, we're in that bubble and you're most stressed about missing a meeting with Ted in about half an hour's time as opposed to reading what's being said about you. But once you have your summer break or what have you, you start to appreciate where you sit, as far as the criticism go and whether it's mates texting you to, back then when mental health wasn't an issue, I was like, are you okay? It was like, yeah, mate, I'm fine. Why should I be worried or something? But, it is at times it is a brutal environment, but at the same time, I'd never moan about it because I would never for one moment not want to be an All Black. So if this is what I've got to pay the price for, then this is what I've got to pay the price for. And I know that every other man in this country wants to be there too. So it's not something I ever moaned about because I just thought this is part of it. And, if I'm not living up to it, I'm not living up to it. So, yeah.
You've made a documentary. A documentary's been made about the massive moment in your career. I'm not going to talk about whitebait and all those sorts of things and all that getting your way to that point. Everyone knows about the kick. It's been told. But what about, did it feel like a bit of redemption?
Yeah, a little bit, because I guess, like, I know I'd had criticism my whole career, but the criticism after Hong Kong was, I guess, firstly, he doesn't deserve to be an All Black, and secondly, he's a choker. And those are two things that, like, I'm not the most talented, never been the most talented person, but I worked hard to get where I got to be an All Black and thought, you know what, apart from Desi, I think I am the next best 10 in this country for a long period of time. I should be here. Yep. And so that's, that's why I felt I should have been there. And when people start saying it never deserves to be an All Black, it's sort of cut you. And then the choker thing, that really hurt me, because I guess I'd prided myself on, the plenty of times when kicks need to go over, kicks went over. And the thing about the Hong Kong thing that still irks me is, from a personal point of view, is I missed the goal kick, sort of 15 in from touch, 20 odd out, that would have buried the game anyway. So I know everyone harps on about the missed touch and all the rest of it, but it's that goal kick that, I guess, gutted me the most. And yeah, I guess the choker label, it was a tough one to sit with me for 12 months until, I guess, the World Cup. And then it sort of put to bed a fair bit of that, I guess.
Because I know how hard that is, and I went through something similar. The fact in '93, I went well in my first test, and then the next week I had to kick against England, and I couldn't throw the thing over. Yeah. And we lose at Twickenham, and that stayed with me. And a year later, an incident against the Wallabies happened as well, right? So I lose two of my first three test matches, and it's really challenging to come back from that. And so, in terms of giving you, I suppose, that satisfaction, you deserve that, because when you're getting to that point in your career and you're trying to work out, okay, where am I at? What did that mean for you after that? Because that's critical for me, is that the fact you get that satisfaction. What did it mean post that for you for the rest of your career?
I guess, not just my career, Goldie, for my life, I could walk around the streets of New Zealand, and it was getting to a point where I felt, and I love New Zealand, like anyone knows me knows, I would not want to live anywhere else in the world. But it was getting to a point where, did I actually want to have to wear a hoodie and a hat every time I went to the supermarket, or if I went for a beer somewhere, did I want to be tucked away further in the corner and try and avoid anyone, or and it was getting to that point. So it just opened up my life again and allowed me to not have to have a hoodie on in summer and go to a supermarket, go to a pub and peace, So that was the big thing for me, and like people always say, what does it mean to you? Obviously opened up a lot of doors and this and that, and I was like, the most important thing is it got me a way of life back again, and allowed me to have a bit of freedom in New Zealand again, really. Well,
I mean, you're talking about performing on the biggest stage, so all of a sudden there's a reputation that comes with that, though. So when people come calling, and they did, and you start going, you go to England, play for Bath, and then you move to Japan, did that come with you in terms of that expectation, the fact that, hold on, you've been able to perform on the biggest stage?
Yes.
Expectations now, we want you to do that for us as a club team.
Yeah, and obviously within 10 days of the World Cup final, I was on a plane to England to play for Bath 4 or 5 days later. And the English, there's no hiding from the fact that I did not set the house on fire in England. And the first sort of 2 or 3 weeks were great. I think I was still just riding a confidence high, and we were in Europe games, and as you know, over there, the Europe competition is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I was up for that, and we were beating Montpellier and the big teams in France, and we were flying, and then 2 weeks later, it's December in England. I'm at Worcester on a Friday night. I can't feel my toes, and the rot sets in, and it pretty much set in for about 12 months. And I'm questioning what I'm doing there, and suddenly I'm taking shortcuts at training and taking shortcuts as far as your discipline goes. And in the end, the English time, they thought they were getting this player, and they didn't get the best of me. And I've been told they didn't give themselves the best to me. It was a funny environment to walk into, but it carried a whole lot of that. But then when you go to Japan again, you're carrying it, and just things worked out for me in Japan. At several different clubs, so it was great times. But yeah.
So your experience of Japan, what did you learn about their rugby and the potential ceiling of their rugby? And we look now, so many of our players, so many of our top players are deciding to go there and take their sabbaticals or opportunities.
Yep.
You look at that, is that a future that we should be looking at in terms of our connection with Japan, and we should be growing it more and more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Japanese fans, for starters, just have an an amazing fascination with the All Blacks. A lot of it's around the haka, a lot of it's around the black jersey. That's what they want to talk about. And then there's the thing now, like when I first started going up there as a rugby player, they wanted you there for 11 months of the year. 7 of those were pre-season training, and 4 or 5 was the actual season. And now it's getting to a point where, you know, guys are going up like Bodie who can go up, right, I'm here for 5 months. And I think that's going to filter through to whatever level of player wants to go up there, where you don't have to be up there the whole time, but go up there, get 5 or 6 months, fill your boots financially, and then come back, play Super or play NPC. And I think the way we're going, it's financially, it's a big way, I guess, New Zealand rugby can compete with everyone else over in the Northern Hemisphere as far as their players go and keeping them. And to be fair, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for every other player that's ever been up there, but personally, I'd much rather go to Japan, 4 or 5 months in Japan.
Well, given your experience, what you went through, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'd rather go there than go and play week in, week out for 60 weeks.
Well, we've seen Ben Smith done the same thing.
Yes,
Went to France and gone, you know what, doesn't seem as though it's a fit with him entirely, so he's gone to Japan. He's now he's playing up there. I mean, this is some sort of journey you've gone through, and there's a couple of things I want to talk about. A couple of key games, and one of them is when you started. So you're at Wesley College, right?
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough, I was at high school when I got the chance to go and play for Southland, second division.
Yeah.
You're going to Counties Manukau.
Yeah.
I mean, for you, how much was that just the eye-opener of all of a sudden, you're playing against men, you're playing against the best players. What did you learn right away before this 20-year journey? Because that's what we're talking about right now. What did you learn right at the start?
That I shouldn't have been there,
right,
for starters. And just everything you do, is the impression that you get from older people and guys you look up to is so important on the flow down. And unfortunately, I went into a counties team they were first division at the time, but that was the year that unfortunately we were on the slide to second division. And as a young dreamer and a 17-year-old, you know, because I ended up being part of the squad for about 5 or 6 games, including the last 2 or 3 when there were must-win scenarios, and it was almost we've conceded here. And as a young fella who had been and watched counties, you know, come from 40 behind in semi-finals of Joeli and Jonah go mad, I just thought anything was possible with this sort of fantasy team that I was now part of. And just to see that, you know, just sort of held with me that, you know, if you're ever in a situation or you're ever sort of later in life, and not that I knew I was going to have the career that ended up the longevity I had, but you wouldn't want that impression to rub off on a young fella as well. And it was just an eye-opener. I mean, I remember going in there, getting called up from school over loudspeaker because I thought...
What had I done?
What
am I late for?
I was traditionally very late to chapel in the morning, and I thought, I'm just getting reprimanded about that. Go in there, and the county's officials are waiting for me in the office saying, you've got to be at training this afternoon. I got to train this afternoon. They said, we've cleared it with your dad. I said, well, no, Dad wouldn't have said no to this. And I'm playing that weekend. It was on a Thursday. I played Saturday, and then I think I dropped the ball first time I touched it. And we played Bay Plenty in the last pre-season game, and I thought, well, that's me. And I shrugged off Pookie Stadium and thought, I've done that. That's my one game in counties for my life, and I'm done. 4 days later, NPC round 1 opener, they call me back up on a Thursday and go, right, you're off to Waikato this weekend, and we're playing in a full... It's the year they had the cricket ground. And it was quite an intimidating venue. It was for a 17-year-old. And they were full strength, and they were running right through us, and I'm just sitting there thinking, I can't go out there. I can't go out there, sort of thing. And then that a couple of months went by, nothing happened, and then Wesley were in the first 15 competition, the national one, the top 32 as it was back in the day. We'd just beaten Liam Messon's Rotorua by about 40 in the final at Albany. Oh, perfect. And I'm walking off, and because I was the day boy of the first 15, I was in charge of sorting the party out for after it. Then I get handed a phone from the coach and said, it's counties on the end of this. We've got 2:30 tomorrow versus Canterbury at Pookie Stadium. Meet us here at 1.
Bring your boots, mouth guarded.
Bring your boots. I haven't seen them for 5 weeks.
Oh, seriously?
Calls, every time I went in, I was literally 2 days before kickoff. And so
So you're not even training with the squad?
No, not training.
It's just come on and...
2 days before, every time. And this was Canterbury when they had that year. I think they probably had 18 All Blacks in their MVC team. Oh, Lord. And so I'm going out there, and obviously they're all out there.
So, but you're getting paid at this time for those games?
I'm getting $500 an appearance.
Was that part of the Players Collective? I'm not sure that's part of the Players Collective. We might get in trouble with Counties Manukau. No. He was only at training for 1 day. We did that. But I mean, What an introduction, if you think about it.
Oh.
You think what kids are going through now. They're in
100%.
academies and they're identified early.
Yeah.
You're getting the phone call on a Thursday to come and play on a Saturday. Did you even know the moves?
No.
No, I didn't.
And the funny thing was, the Canterbury one, which I'd literally got caught in the day before, after we played the national final, I reckon at 1 o'clock, and suddenly Lockie Crichton goes down after about 20 minutes. And I'm out there for 20 minutes, and thankfully, I love Lockie, he came back after getting himself jabbed or something, he came back. But that 20 minutes was fun. I didn't want to go off. It was starting to roll for us at one stage. It was amazing.
You are Mr. Fix-It. You've been Mr. Fix-It from day one. There's the fact from there. As a 17-year-old, you've been given that opportunity.
Yeah.
I want to move now to another game. And it was for the Chiefs against Wales, right? And to me, I'm almost certain I worked on this game and I was there. And, you know, you'd come back into this Chiefs role. This was 2016. And so you were captain for the day. Before I talk about it, I want to hear you talk about that experience because my memories are very clear about how you played. What can you remember of that day?
It was just a day that we had guys that we pulled, and I mean,
very similar, right? You've pulled and dragged, and
we pulled. One of them played his 50th game in the weekend. Brownie, he was a builder in Stratford or one of the Taranaki towns a week before, and Barnesy knew him, so he pulled him in for the training week.
Yep.
And then Boshier was the same. They all came in just that week for Wales because we had that many guys out with either All Blacks or injuries. And we just threw together a team, and you know, it just started to evolve. Training was a sideshow all week. It was just high energy and drops everywhere. And then we went out there, and it was funny. It was a funny game because Wales were all over us with 9 minutes. The first 9 or 10 minutes, they were all over us. And then we got the ball once. We threw it out to Anton, he made a little break, and we were away. And I'm thinking, we've only touched the ball once here. I think we might be in for a night here. And sure enough, it just started unfolding, and a few things worked out for me. And
hold on, a few things. You didn't miss a kick. Did you score, what, 2 tries?
Disallowed.
Oh, disallowed was it? Got ripped off.
I did get ripped off. It was one of those ones where common sense would have told you he had to have scored it, but they didn't have the right angle.
Oh, didn't we? No, I'm sure we had the angle. You're just unlucky.
I'm not blaming Sky for this.
No, don't blame us for that. If a TMO had got involved, we know well and surely you would have been fine. So you think about that, but do you remember the standing ovation when you come off, when you got subbed off at the 68th minute mark?
Yeah, I do in the end, and there was in the Beaver chanting, and that there was, it was. Like, I wanted to acknowledge it.
I think you walked slower. I think it was one of the slowest walks I've ever seen.
That's because I was cramping.
You've been cramping for about 20 minutes, though.
Yeah, I was in all sorts. But I couldn't acknowledge it because I've always sat at home and go, you can't acknowledge, the game's not won yet.
So the game itself. So we talk about all these moments and teams you've played for, but where do you think you'd be without rugby? What do you think might have happened without the game?
Yeah, I'd probably like a few of my mates working at the steel mill back home in Woking, to be fair. Like, grew up, you know, I wasn't someone that, I remember telling, like, my family, and they was like, I don't want to go in here. Like they were promoting me, like, go to university, you know, like, you're doing okay at school, like, think about going to university. What do I want to go to university for? Like, I just want to stay in Woking. I've got everything I need here, sort of thing. And back then it was a town of about 2,000 people, 3,000 people, and like my mates were there. What do I want to go in here for? But I guess once the sporting stuff started to sort of develop and the rugby, I guess the rugby became sort of when I was about 17. It wasn't going to be inevitable, but I was like, if I give this a good crack, you just don't know.
Are there guys that you are really thankful for that you went through the journey with?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and guys were there through absolute thick and thin. You know, guys like Kahui, obviously, was a long-term flatmate. Mills Moina, who lived around the corner from us, and you know, and guys like that, and guys like Timmy Mickelson, who had long time of careers with Waikato together, and flatmates as well, and Brennan Leonards and Liam Messams, and all these guys. We just had we had an amazing Waikato / Chiefs group to come through with, and amazing to a point that we didn't win the titles that, you know, still irked me that
none of us did. None of us did.
But I certainly felt we had a group that gave their all, and in the situation it was, we got to one final during that first stint, and that was as good as it got for us. But just a great bunch of guys who, whenever we catch up now, it's not often, unfortunately, but it is good.
So what is it now? For you, and when you talk about those catch-ups, I understand is what fishing's one of them, right? You're hunter-gatherer.
Yeah.
You and Kahui, right?
Well, Kahu's.
Well, he's still playing.
Yeah, he is still playing.
He can't give it up, right?
No, he loves $1, but Kahu's a bit.
I think he's getting more than $1 where he's going to.
Yeah. his love of fishing, he loves to tell people that he's pretty much Matt Watson these days.
Right.
But when we first came across each other, and it was very much opposites attract, he wouldn't bait his own hooks, he wouldn't take his own fish off the hook. So for him now to be walking around like he's some sort of guru is it's tough for me to swallow, but I just let him go.
What's next for you?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Not entirely. Not entirely. Like, I am, like, the family thing is, like, I know it's cliche, but it is awesome at the moment. And I guess something that when you're in the height of your career, you're not really too fussed about. I know Damo came up for a fish a couple of weeks ago, and we were cleaning the boat, and the kids got thrown on me because the missus had to go down the road, and Damo's looking at us thinking,
what do I do here?
What are you doing? What are you doing? He quite openly stated that he's not quite ready for children, and I told him he shouldn't be. But you know,
you're never ready.
No, you're never ready.
But you love it when it happens.
Yes, absolutely. And that's pretty much life at the moment. You know, looking at trying to see what's out there as far as employment going forward. You know, I had a big break since coming back from COVID in Japan, but yeah, it's now time to get out of the house and join the real world.
Look, a lot of talk at the moment, a lot of discussions around the structure of the game and the money in behind it. When you think about the game itself and how physical and gladiatorial it has got, do you fear for it in some ways, of the fact that it's not like it was when you first started in terms of a bit more space out there? It's always been a physical game. Do you think maybe there's some considerations about, you know, what it is that rugby should look like in the future?
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, you're watching the games, and I watched both of them over the weekend, and it seems like a contradiction. Like, we're trying to get this great product, and we're in the entertainment business, and then we're just in places we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, like, there's penalties, and I don't want to be here begging refs, but there's penalties that have no relevance to the game. If a guy advances 70 metres away from the guy catching the ball at a pace that a prop gets up off the ground at, then I'm fine with that. You know, let's just keep rolling. And you talk about the gladiatorial aspect of the game, like, there's no place for shoulder on heads and stuff like that. But if you know that someone's going to be coming into a ruck with some intensity and possibly with a hard shoulder that's going to hit you somewhere hard, you're not going to hang around that ruck. So that's going to speed the ball up. You know, like, I think you've got to get the balance right between, let's make this as safe as we can, which we've got to make it safe if people want to play it. But then also, you're trying to make the game attractive, and you're not going to make the game attractive if you've got guys hanging around, slowing ball down. And like, I understand what they're trying to do with the kicking thing, with the wingers being able to catch guys in goal, but there's a little bit of me thinks, are we copying rugby league for any great reason here? Like, I haven't seen that rule have any massive impact too. So yeah, it's a funny one at the moment.
You're sitting, because these are all considerations, you know, and does that lead to the fact that maybe you'd like to be able to maybe pass on that advice as a coach maybe in the future? Yeah,
I think so. And you know, like, obviously being a first five, you've got a fairly good understanding of the technical and the tactical side of things. But even just, I guess, you know, over the years, the stuff that I've had to go through, and, you know, whether it's coaching or whether it's mentoring or whatever, it'd be good to be able to, I guess, pass on that and say, look, before you have to experience this, you can probably do something to avoid it, you know, and you do want to avoid this or you don't want to avoid that, or, you know, I just think something like that would be good to help out with.
Are you in the stands for games? Just lastly, when it comes down to the fact you get the opportunity to go, you go, you know what, I want to go and watch. What do you want to watch? Is it for you at the moment? Is it a bit like I was at the end of my career? I'm quite happy sitting at home, just watching the game on television and enjoying my family, or is it the fact that I want to get back and be there at the games and sense it and feel it? Yeah,
I've been, probably in the last couple of years, been to a few test matches, but mainly just at home and watching on the couch and with mates, and you're not probably as intensely involved as, you know, when the mates are there and you're yakking and carrying on. But yeah, I mean, I don't miss many. I watch a lot of it, but I am enjoying just having a bit of a breather from it.
Let's finish on the fact though, and where we started this conversation right at the very start, if the phone rang tomorrow and said, you know what, maybe the Chiefs are running a bit short, you know, because people are getting banged up right now. Trans-Tasman's just around the corner. If people got to that point and they say, you know what, we need someone to come into our environment, do you think you could be that guy who could come in and they'd know exactly what they'd get?
I thought you were talking about a club ringing me up.
I'm talking. But this is, because here's the thing. This is what we're dealing with right now. Is the fact if you're in good enough nick and players are showing that they can play deep into the ages of, you know, people are older and older now. We saw DC last year, you know, trying to try and give himself an opportunity to play again. Do you think if it rang?
Oh, if it rang, I think NPC would probably be more where you'd want to dip into. I watched the games over the weekend, and yeah, I think it's probably a little bit quick right now to come from nothing into that.
Mate, I could sit here and talk for hours, but Stephen, thank you so much, Beaver. Thanks for coming in, joining us for your time. Fantastic. Make sure you join us next week. Tune in for the Playmakers, the rugby stories. Plenty more to talk about around our fantastic game.